everybody? So welcome to the So Walker Jones Show. I'm here. It is Monday. Ooh, the evening edition. Baby, I tell you, it's another great show. I just don't know what to do with all these topics. Y'all keep telling me and showing me that you just are a part of a world called America. These here United States of what y'all say is America. Ain't nothing united about this country. Just call it America. Hey, Campbell, blessings to you and the rest. Man, I've got another hot one here on the ticket. Yeah, we're talking about black folks. We got a whole lot of names. We was called coloreds. We was called Negroes and niggas and coons, okay? And Quanloons and all these names and numbers and letters, and I can't think of them all. Many are derogatory. Some are just names that we've taken under ourselves. So we were either colored, we accepted the color game, right? We accepted black, we accepted African American, okay? So today, I really don't know what to call y'all. Even on the sheets and on your thingy that y'all fill out, whether it's an application for something that says black/African American, because they don't know what to call you either. Yes, hey, Phyllis, blessing to you. Black folk playing the victim. Is that true? I'm hearing from my white friends that y'all play the victim too much. I got two glasses today because I can't see y'all. See, this is y'all know how two glasses. Well, anyway, I don't have no bifocals. I've been hearing from my white friends that y'all are playing the victim. Y'all feel like you have a sense of entitlement. Is this true? Are y'all playing the victim? If it's not true, is it your cheering? Who is this in your family that's playing the victim? Who is it? And is it justified that y'all playing the victim? Help me out here. Because apparently people who were not a part of the black people's party, meaning you weren't born into this kind of strife and struggle and tyranny in a sense, you don't understand our fight. You don't understand it. And if we ask for something, maybe some feel that they are entitled to everything, and some people feel, I worked for it, give it to me. So I'm going to have to teeter-totter on both sides here, because I will say that some white folks is correct. Some of y'all play too much of the victim. It makes me want to vomit. And then some of y'all are due stuff. You worked for it. It's due you. But I'm going to tell you, because it's due you don't mean you need to be depending on that one source for it. Now you're acting like a poor person. Yeah. Wiley Louis says, if we don't, who gets to? Yeah, well, I tell you, I'm going to teeter-totter on this just for a couple minutes to see if it, I say a couple minutes, but I don't know why I'd be lying like that. Okay, we're going to teeter-totter. Hey, Carolyn McIntyre, I was getting ready to tag you because this is going to be part 2 and part 3 of what we talked about last week, 2 weeks ago. Okay, I was getting ready to tag you. God knew you had to be in here. Teeter-totter. All right, let's go back. We were brought here. It was not a vacation. This was not like Cancun, all right? We was fine the way we were over in Africa, in the territories there, all right? Africa is not a country, by the way, white folks. It's a continent, all right? Good evening, Kimberly. Yeah, so, and there are countries within that continent. You see what I'm saying? And we were all up and down from Egypt to the top, all the way down to South Africa. And many of the white folks came over there. Yeah. So we were doing fine. We were building up our nation. We had kings, we had queens and Nubians and princes and potentates. We had an organized system of wonderful, chaotic peacefulness. We were building, we were sowing, and we were reaping, and we were very wealthy. We had a lot of precious metals and gold and silvers and stones. We was able to grow our own food and make our own, and discover as well our own medicine. All right, somebody got sick, we went and did what we did. Matter of fact, the Bible says, is there not a balm in Gilead? Okay, we knew how to take the ground, okay, agriculturally, and make it our own and build our nation around what God put in us intellectually, agriculturally, if that's the word. All right. We were doing just fine. Somebody went over there and said black folks know how to survive in the utmost heat of heatosities, okay? Because white folk over here in America couldn't take the heat. They couldn't stay in the kitchen. So they went and got the Native Americans, the Indians, and says, we're going to enslave y'all. And that didn't work for them because the Indians were dying. They were getting sick because white folks came over here and was giving them all kind of pox. All right? I'm going to get in trouble for this among my white friends, okay? They were making them sick, and they came over here, and they were trying to make wheels and deals, okay? It really was the, what else do you call those people? They were the Hispanic, what they call themselves. It'll come to me in a minute. You know, my American history, my world history, some kind of time could be a little slow. Okay? So they was making deals with the Native Americans, and they were showing them stuff, and the Native Americans were showing them stuff, and they was bargaining, okay? Bargaining with each other, all right? Weapons for certain foods and how to do things, because over in Europe it was kind of different. Folks were leaving over there because there was a potato famine, and folks from Ireland was running, and folks from all parts of Europe was coming over here, all right, from the little mountains called the Caucasus Mountain. Y'all, come on, y'all know my history. Y'all know your history, okay? And then they came over here, what they call them folks? They came over here from South America and over there from Latin. It's coming from, I think it starts with an N. It'll come to me at the end of this, all right? And so they were trading with them, and they were trying to force a religion on those Native Americans. Yes, they were. And so the Native American says, okay, we'll take on your God. All right. And so they did. But the Native Americans was making this deal with them and going back and serving their own gods. Man, I should have had my notes. I should have wrote up some notes, because I'm telling you, I got stuff I want to say about this. J.M. Price said, from the time we were brought to this country to this very moment, have we been considered as equals? Nope. If the answer is no, then we are yet victims. Boom. Now that doesn't give us the right to exploit it. Bam. J.M. Pro just shut the show down. Let's see. I'm going to type this in here because I got some teaching I want to give y'all. Okay. I think their names were the Conquistadors. There it is. The Conquistadors. They came over here in the, I guess you could say, in the 14 or 1500s. Okay. We know the slavery started around 1619, something like that. All right. But somebody went over there and brought us over here because we were able to take on things. Okay. We were strong. We had, I don't know, there's something about our pigmentation, our skin, that causes us to work like mules. Okay, we were beasts almost of burdens. We were used as beasts of burdens in a sense, okay? And we just wouldn't die. We just multiplied like babies, kids. And white folks understood that concept, and they said, we're just going to ride these black folks until we can't ride them no more. And they began to also understand that black folks, thank you, Joseph from Spain, black folks, why can't we really break them? Because when we try to erase this thing from them, from their motherland, they tend to take on something, and they come together and they sing and they do things. When they come together, they become stronger and stronger, and it made the white folks nervous. There's something that God put into black people where we are the foundation of all that is alive. I mean, the original man. I was watching a History Channel, and they was talking about where did the original man come from, and I was really surprised because white folk had produced this TV show, and at the end of the show, they went from town to town to town, and they dug up some black folk in some parts of Africa in the darkest part, and they said, here's the original man right here, because if you really look at it, we all come from these people. I was like, oh my God! And who let this on History Channel? Them white Jews, they gonna get mad that somebody slipped that through and let the people know that the original people was these dark folk look like dirt. From dirt, you know what I'm saying? How could God make all these other folk from them dirty, dark people? All right? I don't know how he did it, but he did it. All right? So I ain't no black Hebrew Israelite. I ain't about black power. I ain't one of those dudes from the 1960s and 70s that wear that hat and the military thing with the rifle, and he's only a few feet from the cops whenever. I ain't one of them. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm trying not to say their name because if I say it, Fox News gonna come on here and talk about how radical those people is. They part of a party, and it rhymes with Panther. Okay, all right. I ain't a part of all of that. All right. But I will say this, I do feel in my heart of hearts that God has created the black people for a reason. Now, and he allowed us to be enslaved for a reason. Just like the Hebrews, I'm about to say the Israelites. Let's separate those two words, okay? Because we can't make that affiliation. Black folk went through hell, okay? We went through pure D hell, all right? Our fathers sat there and watched Massa rape his wife, our mothers, right in front of him, because the man was raping mama in front of the father to weaken the father, to break the father, okay, to embarrass the father, because what they did was they made the son stand there too and watch the father watch his wife being sexually overtaken by the massa. It's all about that letter. Y'all know the letter I'm talking about? The man wrote the letter and says, what y'all doing to these slaves? You ain't treating them the way you're supposed to treat them, because you letting them do whatever, and then you're killing them. You're messing with your product here. All right? His name Willie. And his last name has a lot to do with hanging a strange fruit. I think it's called a lynch, okay? And Brother Willie Lynch says, I'm going to show you that if you follow what I say in this letter, you will enslave these people for 300 years, and it worked. Because even after slavery was over, they yet enslaved our minds. And in came the prison industrial system complex, and then in walked Jim Crowism. Where do you think the police department come from? The police department was created by the Democrats to help keep the freed slaves intact. You already know that? Well, I ain't one of them conspiracy theorists. I just hate people who come that way. But I'm trying to tell y'all, this is what happened. All right. So these things that were in place was in place by the Democratic Party. Okay? The Democratic parties are the same ones who gave us the KKK and the Jim Crow laws. And trust me, I'm sure Willie Lynch was a Democrat. Same one that gave us Wallace down there in the South, who, when those two black kids trying to go to college, he stood at the college door and said, segregation today, segregation yesterday, segregation forever. And yeah, and Bull Connor, he said, come here, Bull. He looked like a bull. And you stand here over here and make sure that these black folks, these Negroes don't vote. And I'm going to stand here and make sure these Negroes don't infiltrate our white schools, okay? That's the way it was. It was the Democratic Party. And then something happened where it became a shift, all right? The Republican Party was the one that freed the slaves. Yeah, the party of Lincoln. Y'all didn't know it? Yes, you did. You should try to deny it. I ain't for party. I really ain't. I ain't about all these parties mess. If I find a dude and I feel that he's right for the job, I don't care if he's independent, left, right, up or down. I could care less who he is. I choose him for the job. Unfortunately, we live in a two-party system, and it's very difficult for an independent man or a write-in candidate to really make it in this country. It happens every blue moon, but it's very difficult. So you usually have to pick one or the other party. If you want that guy to win, you gotta. If you can't beat him, you join him. So sometimes I vote Republican, sometimes I vote Democratic, but I don't even like those titles. I just vote for the woman or the man. Okay, and so it don't matter who you are. Everybody in politics, white or black, I sometimes find an issue with, because once you get into upper echelon of politics, then you begin to be susceptible to the handout, the almighty dollar, and sometimes black folk turn on the black folks who put them in office because of the almighty dollar. All right? And I'm not saying all white folks are racist who are in politics, but let me tell you something. Okay? Almost every president of these here United States was a bigot. Did I say this on Facebook Live? Yes, I did. I probably say 90% of every white president was a bigot. They really didn't care for you to get up to a place. They really, really didn't. But because it was politically sound to do it, they had to do it. Lincoln didn't love you so much that he would give you his daughter. I don't even think he had a daughter. But if he had one, he wasn't loving you that much to give you his daughter. He wasn't going to invite you over to the house and let you sleep in the bed. No, he wasn't doing that to you black folks. But he had to free certain slaves, okay? Notice there's certain slaves because the Emancipation Proclamation didn't free all y'all. He had to free some of the folks because politically it just was something to do to save the Union. Yes. So he did it. And every president after that who seemed like they rallied for you, they only did it because it was politically right or sound to do it. They didn't do it from their heart. Jesus died because he loved you. He didn't die because it was politically correct to do it. He actually loved you. And he's the only leader that I can think of in existence of the history of existence that actually did something that benefited all people because he had a heart to do it. Christ first. And a couple other people might have done it as well. Maybe Martin Luther King or someone like that. Okay? Other than that, all presidents didn't really like you. They didn't really like you. All right? And I got my question for the great Barack Hussein Obama as well. I like the charismaticnism of the man. I love that he's a good husband. I love that he's a great father. I love that he was a great community man. There's just some things I didn't like about him, so which is why I didn't vote for him twice. I did not. I didn't pull that lever. I pulled the other lever. And I knew that the man was going to get in the second time. Don't matter. I still was pulling another lever. Why? Because I stand on my convictions, all right? I don't care how popular a man or woman is. Who cares about their popularity? It's all about how God judging me for how I voted. He looking at me and say, okay, are you really voting for this person here knowing what they stand for? And because it's a party, how God is looking at that? All right. Yeah. All right. So, black people began to come forward. During slavery, you know, we've had the Nat Turners and the Jim, what's his name? We had the revolts, okay? That lasted for a little bit. Okay, we struck here and there. White many was out, but we got a little strike here and there, okay? We won some battles here and there, some molehills here and there, all right? And we got freed, and then we began to come up. We began to put black people in office. They became politicians. They became lawyers, and then they became governors and mayors, and they became congressmen and representatives and senators, okay? And so God was just blessing us to put us into a place of representation. All right? But Still, equality, not so much. All right? So we continue to fight against that inequality. And if you was a woman and you were black, you was a double negative. And then it became very difficult for the black man, because in the 1960s, throughout the 60s and 70s, we began to need help. All right? Ooh, here's the part where I get in more trouble. Yeah. Well, what was that? Was that the key of Obadiah? Here's the part here. When a man and a woman love each other very much, they come together. Okay, that's the birds and the bees, by the way. They begin to have children, and times became hard. Economically, they try to survive. You see, our fathers, our mothers and fathers back during World War II, you know, they began to come back from the war. They came together. They got jobs that gave them good security, all right, and they built their homes from the ground on up, all right, and they saved their monies. They began to invest in real estate. That's how blacks got wealthy, through real estate, all right, and then they began to have children. These children were birthed. They were called baby boomers. Stay with me. Wait, I need something to wipe me off, because I'm about to preach. They became baby boomers, you see. And the baby boomers did exactly what their parents did. They understood the concept of getting from what they worked for and saving it, putting it in the savings accounts, checking the account, working on their job, getting up early in the morning and working on that job for 35 years. It was job security. Okay, so that generation there bought their homes and their cars, what have you, and they began to will these things to their children and put them in trust and had good life insurances. Say, make it plain, listen, I'm making it plain. Yeah. And so what happened was, the struggle was real, though, because still they was facing this bigotry, this xenophobe America, especially from the South. So what happened was when they lived in the Southern belt, all right, it still was kind of hard times, because when slavery was over, they still needed a place to stay. So they went back to the plantations and they began to do what was called sharecropping. Yeah. Shantae say, many programs were put in place to give help to whites, and specifically bars blacks from those same programs. I know it's called affirmative action, benefits more white folks than it do black folks. So they began to do sharecropping, and it really was it was slavery 2.0, really what it was. And so we began to pick cotton, okay, and then we take it to the boss. That they went from calling him master to calling him boss. See, okay, he owned the land. See, and then at the end of the day, we take our bushels and we put it on the weighing machine. Yeah. What's that Whitley guy who made that gin? Not the cotton gin. The thing. Yeah. Well, everybody couldn't really afford that, so you still had that labor. And at the end of the day, or at the end of the week, whatever the weight of the bushel is, you got your pay. All right. So you went to the local grocer and got your groceries, and you lived the best life you could in the South. Yeah. And then one day, the Chicago Defender came on the scene. That's a Defender right there. This article says African Americans and the health care bill. Yeah, you got to read this article when you get a chance. Sharecropping and criminalizing behavior. I know. Yeah, peonage. I got that. And so they opened up the Chicago Defender because they shipped it down south to towns like Jackson, Mississippi, and Canton, and Tuscaloosa, that is, Alabama. Tuscaloosa is where that boy who ran for office, he began to run for the president of the United States through the 1970s until somebody shot him, and then he became, I'm talking about George Wallace, that one who said segregation forever. He started running for president, and some fool shot him. All right, and so he was in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. But anyway, it's Tuscaloosa. All right, but Chicago Defender was being shipped down there to those towns, and you would read it about a good life in the North. Come to the North. Come to Chicago. Come to Milwaukee. Come to New York. Come to Wisconsin. Come now. Come to Gary, Indiana, where Michael Jackson is. All right, and white and black folks would hide this paper in their bosoms, They would hide it under the mattress. They would hide it up under the seat, because I remember my parents telling me, at least my grandparents were telling me, in the South, white folks can just walk up in your house. They didn't knock. They didn't ring the bell. No, they didn't. They just opened the door and came in your house and said, "Where Billy Bob at? Where he at? Well, I need some work and my plumbing is bad and I need something." So I don't care if you was in the bed with your wife. White folks just came on in. That's the way it was down there. That's the stories I was hearing. You couldn't look a white man in the face, even in this that generation in the 1930s and 40s and 50s. You couldn't still look them in the. You had to look down, and don't you dare look at a white woman the wrong way. You saw what happened to the boy who whistled to the white woman. That's the way it was down there. Okay, so. What key am I at? I don't even know. All right. And so what black folks started doing, they started packing up in the nighttime when the white folks was asleep. See, because if you was caught with the Chicago Defender, you was strange fruit. They beat you. They find ways to try to make you stay, because sharecropping was big business. And so y'all y'all would pack your bags up and get on the train. The Illinois Central train here, it would go down there to the South area, okay, wherever your area is, and they take those trains. Y'all call them the Amtrak right now. And they would take those trains from the South and come up to the North, and it would drop them off in the northern cities. And wherever that train ended in that city, that's where black folks began to build or live and settle. So here in Chicago, we have an area called Bronzeville. Here in Chicago, those of you who don't know about Bronzeville, go ahead and Google Bronzeville. That's where my radio station is. That's where I aired my radio show every single day. For many years, I aired in Bronzeville, and that was the black Mecca in Chicago. That's where nightlife was the life. You go to those jazz clubs in Bronzeville, up and down King Drive, okay? Before it was King Drive, it was called South Lake, I think it was called South Boulevard. And it was a big, still a big boulevard, and all those beautiful little small mansions are up and down South Boulevard. It's now King Drive. And when Martin Luther King got shot, somebody decided to turn South Boulevard into MLK, and the black churches that had the address on South Boulevard began to say, "We don't want this Negroes," because he was a troublemaker. He came down here and shook up the peace. So they decided to change their address from South Boulevard to whatever street that was closer to. Of course, that was kind of stupid, because you can't do it if you're in the middle of the block. You can't change the address. So they didn't want it, all right? I ain't going to call out them churches, but them churches are still there. They finally came to the conclusion that Martin Luther King was a good man. Shante says, weren't they also forced into specific areas in the North? They sure were, because we had these shanty towns. We had the ghettos, and it was so small that white folks who owned these hotels and motels, Holiday Inn, they would take these rooms and they would cut them in half. And so your room was about this size, and 5, 6, 10 of y'all lived in that one room right there. And if you look at some of the old pictures on Google, you'll see where we hung our underwear and stuff on the line there, and everybody lived in that little area there, and it just was horrible. Stuff was falling in. It was the ghetto. But we could only live in certain places. See, Brownsville, when we started going there, it was called the Great Migration from the South. But when we got here, it became the White Flight. Because they started seeing y'all moving in the neighborhoods. They said, we got to get up out of here. So they abandoned those mansions, because they saw too many black folks being dropped off where that train ended, and black folks were getting off. So that area, they couldn't. They had to flee, because it was too many. See, some areas in Chicago, you see one family move in, they knew how to buy that house from up. What's that word? Is it regentrification? What is it called? If a black person is interested in that house, the neighbors come together and they buy that house from up under the black person. Okay, for instance, The two things happen. Two things happen. You got to watch All in the Family to really get on the. Such a nerd am I. All right. What happened was, if the owner of the house, gentrification, the owner of the house, whose wife wants to sell the house, and the neighbors, which is all white, want to keep that house among the white, what they do is they themselves would make an offer to the guy who wants to sell the house. Especially if that guy sold it to a black family and the black family is moving in, then the neighborhood come together and says, we want to buy this house from you and give you much more than what you paid for it so that you won't move in here. All right? And that was going on for a long time. Here in Chicago, we have a town called, what's it called? It's called, what's it called? Start with a C. Where you could not be caught in that town after dark, all right? You just could not be caught. Oh, Lord, where is it? Where is that? Help me out, Randy Price, I see you here. And that was almost the... Matter of fact, when Martin Luther King came here, it was that neighborhood right there where they spit at him and threw bricks at him and all that stuff. And Martin Luther King says he lived in Alabama and Atlanta, and he lived in the most racist places in the South. He said, but he had never seen such racism as he did in Chicago. Thank you, Randy Price. It's called Cicero. Cicero, Illinois, had no black people living in that area, not a one. Many other towns in many other suburbs or the little neighborhoods where white folks were, you might have one black person living there, but Cicero, none. Not one was on the police force, not one. And I was alive before finally a black family moved in. I was alive. That's how long it took them to get to that place. And when that black family moved in, they found swastikas on their door, written on the building, and they would come home to the windows busted out and all kind of stuff in Cicero, Illinois, during my time, okay? And it's really bad, just bad. So it's better now, but still, certain neighborhoods of Cicero don't be caught after dark. Okay, so we went through this stuff, okay? Your cities in the north especially went through this where you were shifted into certain areas. And then our mayor, Mayor Richard Daley, decided he had a great idea that we'll build. I think in the 1950s, he decided to build this empire. He saw the idea and he figured he'd build this tall place like a condominium where black folk could come and feel like they have a sense of ownership. They call them cute names. They call them after people. They call them gardens and place, and these cute little sweet names, but all they were projects, right? And black folks, Randy said, Boss Hog, yes sir. And he built those places all over. We had Robert Taylor Homes, okay, on the south side, which I think was probably the biggest one. We had Stateway apartments up and down State Street. We had Cabrini Green, which went all across the world as being the worst there was, okay. Gosh, Gwendolyn Brooks and man, with so many, I can't even think of. There's so many project names that were here, and they kept building them up, building them up. And what they really were, they were like intimate prisons. They were penitentiaries in a sense. That's really what they were. And it was a place where people went and they were able to be controlled by the politics of this town. It's called the Machine. Chicago's politics was called the Machine. And Chicago was called the Windy City. It's not called the Windy City because we have a wind that can blow a little skinny guy like me off my feet. That is not why. We just so happen to be a windy city because we're off of the Lake Michigan, but it's called Windy City because of the politics, the windbags. And that title came from a newspaper. And they decided to begin to see the crookedness of politics in Chicago, and they said a bunch of windbags, and someone coined the phrase Windy City. All right, that's what it came from. So Boss, right, Daley, he had yes men around him, both black and white, and whatever he said, go. He was the one that issued the shoot to kill in 1968 when the Democratic Republican the convention was going on downtown. They said the whole world is watching. The whole world is watching. And he said, shoot to kill. We had never heard such a statement in public on the news from a prominent mayor before. We had never heard such a thing. Kill these people, all right, because they were rowdy. All right. And so that went on for a while. And these projects began to move in generation after generation after generation of people who were famished, people who were depending on public support, public aid, and what they call it, ADC, ACC, AD, I don't know what you call them. Every city got a different name for it, but it was public assistance, and they would get their food stamps, and they would get their green card, which was medical, and they would get cash, okay? And the more babies that these women would have, the more that the government gave them money. But then what they did was they took the black man and said, you can't live here. You can't live here, because if you live here, you're capable, because you're a man, so we're going to have to pull back on the support. And then I did that show on, what did I call that show? Let me show you here. I did the show, this thing here, Mafa 21. Y'all go to my show called, I call it the genocide, black genocide in America. Okay, black genocide. And I did that show for about an hour and a half. Y'all can go there. What they began to do is shoot mothers or potential mothers to make them sterile. They said, you can't have no babies. They was experimenting on black women because they didn't want to continue to pay the money to support these babies and this mother, and so they began to try to make the woman sterile. All right, a lot of this stuff is public knowledge, but back then we didn't understand it. Come on, bamboozled again. I hear you. What y'all saying here? What you saying? Redlining. Yep, they were denied loans and the right to get housing in certain areas. Sure was. It was redlining. Okay. Fast forward though. The redlining has turned into toxic loans, okay, and subpar loans and things like that, where they say, okay, no problem, we'll give you now a loan to get you a car, give you a house, but you're gonna pay some more. You're gonna pay some money. We're gonna charge you 25% interest, 30% interest on this loan here, okay. We're gonna make it to where you can't really afford it, really can't. So that's what happened in the boom of 2008. So I'm telling y'all. That's what's going on now still. Even after 2008, they said, we ain't going to do this no more. So the banks begin to close up their pockets and say, we ain't loaning more money. Not even the white folks, we ain't loaning more money. We just can't do it. You got to have an 850 FICO score. We ain't doing it, okay? But I knew after a few years, it was going to be tough on those financial institutions and those banks, okay? They needed to make that money back. Okay, because the government bailed them out because they were too big to fail, and those CEOs were taking millions of dollars cutbacks and retiring. Okay, nobody went to jail. All right, and so the bank says, okay, we ready to loan money out again. So now, if you look at the financial, the report now, houses are being sold like crazy right now, and guess who buying them? Y'all. And guess what kind of loans y'all getting still today? Toxic. Yes, you are. Those who fled the cities are now back to take over again. There it is, Charles. So what happened was the white flew out of the northern cities, towns, and went down to the suburbs, began to build up the suburbs, all right? And they began to make the suburbs really nice and build the homes from the ground. It was just, the suburban life was just nice for them. And we were in the north trying to make a living. But see, white folks, even though they fled, they still owned the property. So we were moving into their buildings and their courtways, okay, and their high rises and their low rises and their houses. We were renting them. We wasn't really buying them, okay. That next generation, the Generation X's, okay, some of the baby boomers, they couldn't afford to buy them because the banks wasn't giving them loans. So they said we can rent. So they began to rent these homes that white folks own, okay, and buildings. So and not just white folks, but them folk to come over there from over there. Okay, I'm talking about from over there in Pakistan and areas, okay? Those people with the dots on their heads and stuff. Y'all got to understand what I'm saying. And then some of the Asian folks, they were coming, well, the Asians and the Pakistanis and the Indians, the Indians with those dots, it's all Asian. All right, if you know geography, it's really all Asian. Okay, so they are the ones who were coming over here and the government was giving them, here, take this. But we go to the same institution, they said, no, you're denied. I'm trying to get to the point here. I don't know why it's taking me so long to get to the whole victim thing. All right. So we now live in the home or the building or the courtway building, what have you. We don't pay rent to a black owner. We pay our rents to white or Asian owners, or someone who from across or some German person. We pay rent to them. All right, and then we pay the mortgages to the white banks. We don't pay money for our mortgages or our rents to someone who's black. No. All right. So back that thing up. Okay. We live in a situation where the black man got excommunicated out of the house. Where did he go? He had to live somehow, some way. He began to go to the shelters, okay? He had to work by the sweat of his brow. He couldn't get a high-class job. He couldn't wear a white collar. He had to put on the blue collar, so he had to be the one that empty your garbage. He had to be the one that stand at that machine and do a repetitive thing for 8 hours, 12 hours a day. Just repetitive, and get his check at the end of the week, okay? And go to some place. Sometimes these little, they call them efficiency hotels and motels where he lived, because he couldn't be at home with the woman and the children because he couldn't afford to be at home with them because his check wasn't enough, but the government was kicking in, but the government said he can't stay there. Oh, Lord, I don't know. It's taking me too long to get to this point. So I saw this movie by Earl Jones. What's the movie? Is it Geraldine? Is it what's the name of that movie? Well, it talks about the public aid system. It came out in the 1970s, and I think Gladys Knight and the Pips said, "Make yours a happy home." That movie right there. Just a great movie, but it talks about it because he came over there to date that girl. What's her name? Julia. Remember the movie, the sitcom Julia? That was my wife. Woo! Remember that show, Julia, from the 1960s? She was a single mother. And he come over, but if they knew that the social worker was coming over, he had to leave the house or hide in the broom closet. And Claudine, thank you. What did I call it? I called it something. Claudine. And if the social worker was coming over, then if she saw anything that reminded her of a man, she says, oh, I got to put this in my books. We can't give you this. And then she, the woman, had to make up the difference. Okay, it's just crazy stuff. That's what happened. But we were not told. Geraldine, Flip Wilson, Randy Price said, that's right. But we were not told. Black folks was told that we were the ones that was abusing the system. But we were not told that there were more whites on the public aid system than it was black folks. We thought it was just all black single mothers abusing the system. And many of them were abusing the system because they were purposely getting pregnant so they can get more money. It was really like a retirement plan for these little girls, okay, who was having these babies so that the government could kick in, all right, and make sure the man stay out. And the man staying out, that's what caused him to get on. He got hooked up on drugs. He got hooked up on alcohol because he didn't know what to do. So alcohol was his way out. And then bam, he's in jail. He's in the penitentiary. He's in some halfway house, you know. So the men start having all these issues. Okay. Now we began to come up. We began to look at these other men who were helping us come out. Some of these groups were helping us come out of that thing. Okay. Some men were going back to their wives and their girlfriends or what have you. All right. And then out came this article about there's more black men in their children's lives than any other race in America. And folks were like, that's a daggone lie. It's not possible. Look at all these deadbeat fathers. You can see it on the internet. You can see it in the newspapers. You see them black faces paste all over about deadbeat fathers. But that only was a little portion because there's more black men in their children's lives than any other race. And it's still shocking to some of y'all, but the Center for Disease Control issued that report, the CDC. And they check the stats before they issue anything, okay? Reagan's lie. Welfare queen used a rule not accepted. Come on now. Come on. More black men in college than in jail. Come on, Charles, you better drop them stats. You better drop them, okay? So the world or America is still looking at the black man as the worst thing that happened to America. Okay, because they still look at us as being lazy and shiftless and deadbeat, don't care, and beat their wives because whether the wife beat them, they all in jail. That's why Donald Trump came on the scene and won the white folks' vote, because he said, look at these black folks. They bring in crime. Because he talked about the Hispanics in that wall. Then he mentioned black folks. They're shooting, they're killing. And then he says, what the hell do you have to lose, black folks? Now, he was talking to an all-white audience. What the hell do you have to lose? And so all of those people in that room and across America watching that says, yeah, black folks, they just don't know what's going to happen when they walk out their house. They're going to be shot dead, all right? And even myself was thinking the same thing coming up, thinking that black folks it's just horrible. You know, we just a bunch of poor bumpkins. And I don't care what you say about Bill Cosby, but then he presented this show called The Bill Cosby Show, okay? It's actually The Cosby Show. See, there was the original Cosby Show in the 1960s, all right? That was after, was it I Spy? Okay, I can't take you back too far. Then The Cosby Show came in the 80s, and he gave America another look at black people, and they rejected it because they said this can only happen in sitcoms. There is no such thing as a black man who is a doctor married to a black woman who is a lawyer, and all the kids going to college eventually, okay? Living in a nice place like that, that don't happen in America. But when that show came on, and the cast went on the Oprah show, Bill Cosby and Mrs. Huxtable, what's her name, who married the newscaster, the sports guy, she was saying, and the kids were saying, that we were getting calls from across the country from black people who were saying, oh my God, that's my family. That's Dr. Huxtable is my father. Mrs. Huxtable is my mother. That's my family. And it was coming from all across the country that there was actually black people living like that. And white folks were shocked. Even I was shocked. And this was 1985. I think when that show came out. Was it 85? I was shocked. I was like, there's really black people that live like Felicia Rashad. Yes, they were all over America. Middle class, upper middle class, and wealthy black people all over the country. I was shocked. And then I took a trip to Atlanta, Georgia to go see Martin Luther King's house. And that white tour guide was telling me about my people. And I was shocked because she said, you see this street that you're standing on? I said, that's Auburn Avenue or something like that. I said, She said, it always shocks me that when I take black people up and down this street, they're shocked to hear that this was owned by all black people, and they was upper middle class people. They built their own homes. They lived a good life. They had money saved up. They had retirements and what have you. So when you see them marching on Eye on the Prize on your PBS station, they look like old country bumpkins marching up and down the street. But many of them had good money. And many parts of America didn't know that, because I didn't know that. And they were very wealthy. Okay? So there is still today this look on black families as in through the eyes of Donald Trump. That's how white America see black families, through the eyes of Donald Trump. They're bringing drugs, they're gangbangers, they're shooting each other, they're raping and pillaging. That's through the eyes of white America. And when we hear that, we say enough is enough. That show gave black middle class a voice. So, do you think, my original question is, do black people always play the victim? I say no. I say there are a lot of them who do. But there's a whole lot of them other ones who do not. Black businesses went down through integration, which was never integrated because it was not reciprocal. I'm telling y'all need to get to know Shantae. She's talking. You can't play what's not a game. You see, when you look at watch the next election, watch a Republican or a conservative, because it's really they're one and the same. When I watch Fox News, they all say, we're not Republicans. We are independent, we're conservatives. They are lying to you. Especially that Hannity dude, okay? And the dude they fired. He'll never say he's Republican. And who's left over there? The other dude, okay? What's his name? Carlton. Is Carlson Tucker? Okay? They'll never say we're Republican. They'll always say, no, we're independent. Well, I'm a conservative. But they're lying to you. They hide under those names, but they're really Republicans, is what they are. Because they're very careful what they say about Donald Trump. They're very careful what they say about the Republican Party. Extremely careful. And if something go down that Donald Trump said, or he put something on Twitter and said something stupid, notice all of the news stations are talking about that, but when you turn on Fox, they're talking about something else. They won't talk about it until it's too much that they can't hide it. So they'll talk about the military. Notice that. Or they'll bring up something Obama did. They won't talk about it. No, because they're not conservatives or independents. They're Republicans. And Fox News is the Republican belt. Okay? That's how all Republicans, that's where they get their news, with their sources, their information. They get it from Fox News. Okay? For the same way MSNBC is all about the Democrats. And CNN, well, they're too busy fighting with each other. All right? It's a ball game over there. Yeah. So what's going on is there are people, we say more specifically, they are alt-right Republicans. That's right. They are alt-right. All right? They ain't right, but they're alt-right. All right? So black people many times we're looked to as playing the victim. Why is it that they feel that they have a sense of entitlement? Now, let me flip the script on some of y'all, okay? Here's where, as I close, okay? I will say this, though. Be careful, though, on how, I'm talking about you people who are always playing the victim, because there's some of y'all are just sorry. Some of y'all are really sorry. Can I rant now? Here's where the white folks going to join in on me. Because they don't want to hear nothing that I just said in the past 51 minutes. They don't want to hear it. Some of you black folks, you ain't just poor, you act poor. You act dumb as rocks. I'm tired of it. You listen to other folk and then you take heed to what everybody say. You run with the in crowd. And whoever your pastor is, if he say hi, you say chew. If he say jump, you say ha. If he tell you to quit your job, you quit your job. If he say marry that person, you marry that person. Okay? If he say don't put your money in that stock, put your money over there, he gives you your stock tips. He is your financial advisor. He is everything to you. Okay? You crazy. All right? Because he ain't staying in his lane. Because he ain't qualified for that, and the government is going to come down on these black pastors. Now, I'm talking about the black ones right now. We'll talk about the white pastors tomorrow. But they're going to come down on these black pastors because they are impersonating positions that they're not qualified for. All right? Do you realize how much time you can get in jail for acting like you're a doctor? What's the word? It's not, you can impersonate an officer, but you could act like a doctor. What's the word, y'all? Y'all hear me out. What do you call that? Okay? You're operating without a license. You got to be careful. So we some of us black folk, we hear stuff and it sounds good because it's the new fad and it's trending. So we jump on that bandwagon and it pulls us further down into poverty. So then when we start hurting, then we play the victim. Man, Shantae, what you saying? Many say victim, but the reality is America has a debt they have not paid. They have a check they wrote that the black Americans have never been able to cash. You can't focus on what America will not do. God is going to repay. Yes, I'm on this other tip, Shantae. We talked about that already. I got to talk about this other thing. See, because even though we was not given the 40-acre and the mule that the man said that we could have, I could care less. You see, I think I can call it the Oscar effect. Oscar. I'm talking about the Academy Award. You see, we was crying that white folks wasn't celebrating us in movies. And I kept looking at that thing, and I came to the conclusion is, why do I need white folks to make me feel like I have accomplished something? Okay? Why do I need white America to pat me on the back and give me an award so now I feel like I arrived? Why do I need that? I don't need an Oscar. That don't tell me I've arrived. All right? When I did the last Bible study at my church, I told them, you are my most important audience. I told them, and I'm posted on Facebook, my Bible study I did 2 weeks ago. I told my people, my church, all right? I had a room of about, 50. I don't know how many people was in that room. I told them in the video that night that Monday through Sunday, I get from the average of about 500 to 10,000 people watch me. Between 500 and 10,000 people would have watched me by Sunday. This is what I told them. That's a big audience. On YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on SPREAKER.com, on my personal website, on and on and on and on. Okay? Thousands of people are hearing me. And many of them have said, amen, Brother Jones. I said, but the most nervous moment that I'm having right now is talking to you. Because you are my people. You belong to me. I worship with you a few times a week. I don't know these people on social media. People from across the world. People from Russia hit me up. People from Afghanistan. Okay, people from Africa will hit me up and say, great show. Me, I have a worldwide ministry, the Sir Walter Jones Show. But guess what? It don't have the same effect when the people that I'm worshiping with say, oh, wow, Elder Jones, what a wonderful word. That moved me the most. You see, I don't need the Oscars, okay? I don't need the Emmys to tell me and validate that I did a good job. Now I'm going to update my resume. Don't need none of that. Because what? I built my own. The Sir Walter Jones Show was built from me, from my head, from my heart. It took me years to build that platform, and I built it. By the sweat of my brow and by the help of God and the Holy Spirit helped me to build that. All right? So I don't need it to go, people keep calling me and says, you need to go syndicate. I don't need to go syndicate. People see me from all over the world. Now, if somebody offer me a syndication, I ain't going to be foolish and not take it. Okay? But until that happens, I'm doing fine just the way I am. You see? So keep your 40 acres in the mule, okay? Keep your aid and all, and your Medicaid and Medicare. If I can't get on it, if I don't qualify for it, so what? God has given me the ability. He gave me a brain. He gave me a heart. He gave me 2 hands and 2 feet. And I make my own money. I create my own product. That's my product. That's my brand. I do this, whether them folks out there like it or not. That's who I am. You see, I don't play the victim. Oh, woe is me. I put all this work in, working on the man's job 12 hours a day, and this what he paid me? What you complaining for? You working on the man's job. He created that business. He created that corporation. He created that LLC. You didn't do it, and he asked you to come to be a help. All right? You are a helping hand. You are a hired hand. Okay? You're a hireling. All right? And you negotiated a price. And so you said, I'll take the price if you hire me. And so now that's your price. Don't get all upset because you go in there and you want to raise. If he tell you no, You negotiated a price, all right? So what you should be doing is when you get off your job, stop coming up with these excuses that I don't have enough time. Because I'm on the job all day long. When I get home, I'm too tired. You take 1 hour a day. Just one. You got 1 hour. No, I don't. Yes, you do. You do. Because what do you do when you go home? You got an hour a day. You don't need to turn the TV on. You don't need to go on the internet, okay, to gossip. Okay, you don't need to make these other pit stops. No, you take that 1 hour a day, just one, and do you. Build up you. Start writing your book. Okay, start creating your product. And if you don't have an idea, go on the internet for 1 hour and see how everybody else is doing it. Mark the Perfect Man. Go on YouTube. All this stuff is for free. All right? You don't have to pay nothing. Go on this stuff for free. Do a Google search on how to. Go to Udemy, udemy.com. Go there. They always have these $10 specials where it can give you a whole month, 6 weeks classes for just $10. Ask me how I know, because y'all going to see me on there just in a few more days, okay? Teaching people how to do this, how to do that, how to do that. 1 hour a night. Can you imagine if you did that every night for 6 weeks? How advanced you would be? And then you do what's called a launch on the idea that was given to you or that you created. So then you go on that job, on the boss, and say, you know what? Bye-bye, love. Bye-bye, loneliness. Because the monies that you're getting ready to make or that you're making right now, here's what you make on your 9-to-5 job. That money that now you're bringing in from your own product, now stay on your job. Don't be stupid. Stay right there. Don't tell the boss or nobody nothing. You making your money, building your product, and you rising up every month. Get you a membership site where people pay you. Okay, I'm telling y'all all my secrets, okay? People pay you every month to teach you what you know. You're like, I don't have an audience for that. That's a lie. Do you not know that there is an audience for everything that you have to offer? Everything that you can think of, there's somebody out there want to buy it. They want it. How do you think Craigslist got so popular? How do you think eBay got so popular? How do you think Amazon got so popular? Everything that's on there, somebody wanted. I promise you, if I took this piece of paper right now that I'm doing this with, and drew Mother Mary on it. Okay? Just drew a statue of Mother Mary on it. Okay? And tell the people that I found it in the backyard under a juniper tree and put it on eBay, the biddings is coming in. Why? Because I don't care what you got, if it's swampland. If you said you found coconut beans or coffee beans in South America, okay? If you went into a wine village, okay, and you found some grapes and you just squeeze it in a bottle about that big and put it on eBay, somebody gonna want to give you some money for it. Ask me how I know. There's a lot of money to be made out there, but what you doing? You playing the victim. Stop playing the victim. And stop acting like a victim. All right? Take it from Sir Walter. I hustled all my life and put 2 kids through college because of my hustle. Still got one coming out of college in another couple of months. Hallelujah. I felt something in my shando. I got one coming out of college in just a couple months. We struggled. Do you imagine how difficult it is to get that call and say, Daddy, I need some money. And you just paid everything you got. You paid your mortgage, you paid your light, you paid your gas, you paid your phone, you bought some groceries, you paid your cable, you paid your internet, you even gave some money, you gave a tithe here and an offering here, and you did all that. Now you're like, whoo, I'm bent. And then that phone rang, Daddy, I need some money. I need some books. That's a couple $100. Daddy, the tuition is due. Daddy, the loans or the funding, the FAFSA only giving me this much money. I need you to get a rest. I had to go through that for 4 years. But guess what? I didn't ask the government for nothing. I didn't ask y'all for nothing. What did I do? When baby girl picked up that phone and said, Daddy, I need. And I looked at my account and said, uh-oh, yeah, I don't think it's enough in there for what she needs. Guess what I did? I went and put my coat on, left the house, and went and made some money. Why? Because baby need her stuff paid. Baby needs some groceries for that apartment that she's in. Baby needs medicine. Baby need books. Baby need, and Papa make sure. Why? Because God gave me 2 hands, and He gave me the ability to get off my lazy do-nothing and get out there and hustle and bring that money home and say, baby, all right, I got it. I'm mailing it to you right now. Oh, you need it right now? Well, let me go on my phone. There's a Cash App, okay? Let's see. Pull from this account and put it in her account. Bam, she got it within a couple minutes. You see what I'm saying? I don't ever want my kids to call and say, Daddy, I need it. And I say, I ain't got it. Click. That ain't ever happened, and it has never happened in the history of me being a papa. You see what I'm saying? Why? Because I ain't depending on nobody to take care of my children. That's my responsibility. See what I'm saying? And He gave me the gift of gab. And sometimes it's so hard for me. I'm like, Lord, how am I going to make it? I've paid everything. Lord, how am I going to make it? Because I've been faithful and responsible, my phone rings. Hello? Yeah, L. Jones? Yeah. I need you to come down to fly to Florida, fly to California, fly to New York, okay? Because we need you to do a seminar for about 2 days, okay? We pay you $3,000. I'm there. Send me a plane ticket. You see what I'm saying? It happens all the time. Ring. Hello? Yeah, we need you to write this song here. We ain't got but about $1,200, okay? Well, that's no problem. I got you. No problem. When you need it? You need it tomorrow. Oh, okay. I got you. Here's the keyboard right there. There's the keyboard right there. There's the desktop right there. Pull up that music software. Logic Pro, Pro Tools, Cakewalk, okay? Pull it up. God gave me the gift. I sit there and play my piano, put some strings in there, put some drums in there, put some horns in there, maybe put a background vocal because I got mics all over here, and then bam, I mix that sucker and I drop it in what's called a drop box, and they said, oh my God, that song is beautiful. I said, don't tell me how good it is. I got a Cash App, or you can PayPal me the money if you like, but can you give it to me now? Because my job is done. Why? Because I made sure that when I was coming up, I watched everybody do stuff. And I said, I want to do that. And so I took my notes. And I said, how you do that again? I was asking questions. And how you do that? Repeat that. Repeat. I'm sorry to keep bothering you, but how you do that again? How you do that? And then I put my cassette tape right there on the piano, on the organ. And then I started going to the studios, all right, and following my brother Larry around. And I'm just watching and watching and watching. You know, we walk up in there, and sometimes I walk in there with some of the big time commission would be in that room, and I'm just in, and the wine is in that studio, and I'm sitting there watching. Okay, Kirk Franklin's over there, and I'm watching him, and I'm just listening and paying attention to what they're doing. Why? Because I ain't gonna be broke ever. In the history, it's always a history with me. In the history of neverdom, will you ever find me broke? Meaning, I could not have any money in my pocket right now, but that ain't gonna happen tomorrow. Why? I might be in between blessings, because tomorrow, because I'm broke today, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull out my notes from 1985. Now, how did he? Oh, yeah, I remember how he did that. Bam. I'm done. Where's my money? Because Rebecca needs some books. You see what I'm saying? Stop playing the victim. It ain't working for you. That don't look good on you. Okay? All right? And Those of you who are part of the Black Lives Matter, I get that. White folks hear that stuff and it makes them scared. They're afraid because they don't hear Black Lives Matter. They hear a prefix and they hear a suffix. They hear only Black Lives Matter. Now, that's what they hear. They don't hear Black Lives Matter 2. No, they hear only Black Lives Matter. Your life don't matter. So it frightens them. All right, we shouldn't have to fill in blanks for them, but unfortunately that's the way it is. And so when your kids get out there and get profiled and what have you, all right, what are you teaching your children? All right, because no child, no black man or black woman need to be profiled by some racist cop. But I'm gonna tell y'all, if you keep teaching your children to be adamant and be belligerent and try to tell them to fight the popo, your kid's gonna lose every time. Because the police is a fraternal order. They are more powerful. They have more people behind them than you and your little gang, okay? So you better teach your children to be respectful. Put both hands on the wheel because you might be able to win a battle, but you're going to lose the war. Why? Somebody ain't coming home. You slap a cop, all right? You play hard to get, okay? You resist arrest all you want to. It's making you feel good, right? Talking to a cop like that and go, right? Makes you feel good, right? And you're going to go to jail, go to court. There's going to be another bigot on the other end of that desk with a black robe, and he going to send you to one of these private-owned, corporated-owned prisons. And guess what they're going to do to you in the prison over there because they want to keep you in there, so they're going to do something with the books. I'm telling y'all what I know. I've been in and out of them suckers. I tell you, I visited it a few times, and then one time I was in there because they put me in there, okay? And I'm telling you, they were turning all kind of tricks, and all these black folks in there had the same excuse why they was in there. They figured they can overpower the cop. Well, they wasn't coming home that night, playing the victim. So if there's anything that white folks are saying about some of you, is some of you are playing the victim too much. And you feel like you have a sense of somebody owe it to you. No, come out of that. You only supposed to be on a public aid system to extend you until you get on your feet. Not be on that system generation after generation. And that's what many of our black folks came up under. They was in those projects I mentioned earlier, and they stayed on that aid, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 generations later, they own it. So now, this last generation, they tore down all the projects in Chicago. All of them. Every project I just mentioned, they're gone. And guess what? Black folks had to go somewhere. They shipped them to the suburbs. Now the suburbs are crime-ridden. And these are the same people who still rely on that public aid. Because they are the last generation, and their mothers, grandmothers, and great-grandmothers was on public aid. So all this generation know is aid. They don't know independence. They don't know how to go out there and get a job. They don't know how to fill out a resume. They don't know how to dress for one. They don't know. They just don't know. All they know is at a certain time of the month, I'm going to stand in that line at the currency exchange because my aid came in either in the mail or had to go down to the office, and I'll go to they don't have bank accounts. They never had a checking account. They never had a savings. They don't know how to sign their names or endorse a check. They never had to write a check. They don't know what it is. So what they do is they go to a place called a currency exchange, where the currency exchange is making a lot of money in black neighborhoods. Why? Because they know that it's going to be a lot of folks who just got their aid checks, and the currency exchange is going to charge them a fee for cashing that check. And they're going to rack up on us. They're going to rack up. Welfare is still $234. Who can live off that? My dog's expenses are more than that. I'm trying to tell you. Right? So there are capable people who are on public aid who decide they're going to stay on there. And guess what? They're living in a project or a low rise, and they got Lexuses. I'm telling y'all, The reason why many of the white folks was upset with black folks who were on aid is because they would pull up at the projects and the car lot had high-end cars in the parking lot of the projects. The project rent was $50 a month, but they had cars in the lot that was worth $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. It was amazing, and I still see that today. Okay, them low rises are still up, y'all. They knocked down most of the high rise, but a lot of the low rises are still up there, and they're still projects. Okay, and you're playing the victim. You need to stop. It ain't helping you. It ain't helping your children, because your children will see you playing the victim, and guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna play the victim. All right, I'm gonna stop this because I said I was gonna be a few minutes, and y'all know I ain't honest when I tell y'all stuff like that. Those were the only loans they were given to blacks. Car loans. Yep. We did a show on that, Charles. I'm saying this to shut up. They give you a car loan because they know they can make some good money on that. They'll give you a house loan because they know they can make good money. They can make good money on that. But here's what they will not. They try their best not to give you. Now, this has been the system for many, many years. They don't want to give you a business loan. All right? Now, you chew the cud on that. Because the business loan, we're in another bracket now. Okay? And just like the master didn't want to teach you how to read, today's master don't want to give you no business loan. No, sirree. No. Okay? She says I have to check out your archives. Yes, Shantae, I'm crazy. I get in trouble too much on my shows. It's just crazy. You have to go to, let me tell you where to go to find my old archives so that I don't talk like that anymore, because I got folks coming after me. It's called SPREAKER.com. All right? You go there. Let me type it in for you so that you can see. And then I'll shut this down. Spreaker.com is where all my shows from many years are on that site. Y'all forgive me for coughing, but it's getting hot in here, and Melissa told me to get some water. Gosh, I haven't logged in for so long. Okay, let me log in real quick. Don't go nowhere. I'm gonna show you where to go. Oh Lord, you know what? I don't even know where to go now. Let me just type one of my shows in, and it'll give you all of my the Sir Walter Jones show on Spreaker. Yeah, and I'll show you where to go. There it is. Okay. That's my show right there, and all of my episodes are here. Okay, and you'll see where it'll go on and on and on and on. Okay, I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shows there. Okay, and that's the URL right there. Just type that in, okay, and you'll see all my shows. About 90,000 plays, 1,000 downloads, okay? And it's just where I was trying to try things out. And I discovered that trying things out got me a reputation. And everything we talk about, absolutely everything. There's nothing that we have not talked about, okay? Especially when it comes to the struggle among African Americans. So I've had ex-police officers on. I've had community leaders on. I've had, of course, politicians. Whenever somebody want to run for mayor in Chicago, I get that call, all right? And they say, here's their first question. They say, Sir Walter Jones. I said, yes. They say, so-and-so's running for mayor of Chicago. You've heard of him. I said, yes, I've seen his ads. We want to come on the show, but we want to know how many listeners do you have? What's your demographics? And I always laugh. I want to tell them I got about 200 people. If I had said that, they said, well, never mind. And I give them my number because it's numbers don't lie. All right. And they said, we'll be there tomorrow. Okay. And they come and they sit in my chair over in Bronzeville. Okay. Black Mecca. And I talk to them. And I asked them the hard questions. One guy who was running for mayor here, he was close. He was close. He almost got up in there. I ain't gonna say his name. He was running for mayor. And I said, you know, this is a gospel show, right? My audience are believers. He said, oh, yes, yes. And I asked him, I says, well, what are you going to do for the church? And he says, well, here's what we need to do. And he was actually someone that was really good. He was good to the churches. And then I told him, I says, listen, there are people hurting out there. Many of my fellow believers don't know where they're going to find their next meal, right? They're hurting. They're in pain. Can you speak a word of encouragement to the people who you say, you care for? And he stumbled on every other word. He didn't know what to say. He was like, we're going to try and see. And then he went back to his political stands. And I ended that interview quickly. I said, okay, it's time to go to commercial. And I told him, all right, I'm done with you. And I could tell the way he looked after I did that. See, because it ain't about the Republican. It ain't about Democrat with me. It ain't about independent. It ain't about conservative. Because really, I'm a conservative, to tell you the truth, okay? It ain't about all that. It's about what can you do for the people. What can you do for the people? And if you can't tell me what you can do for the people, then this is going to be your first and last show on the Sir Walter Jones Show. All right. Okay, I'm done. Thank you, Lady Michelle. She put the link for SPREAKER.com there. Of course, you all can go to YouTube.com, and all my other videos are there, and that's where the real audience is. Those are the ones who call me niggas and coons and faggots, and they call me everything over there, and I just be laughing. I'll be like, thank you. Can I have another? I don't know why you would call me a faggot. And I used to be a hoe. I was in women's bed every other week. So you got cataracts to call me a fag. Something wrong. Your gay alert ain't working. That's the last thing that I am. I had to be healed from whoredom. All right. Okay, let me stop. God, I love you. God, I thank you. God, I bless your name. We appreciate all that you've done for us in our children's lives, in our parents' lives, and in our lives. We're working to be better citizens, as we can go out there and help people feed the hungry and give them shelter. Give us the strength to be able to do this, so that the people could look into our lives and say, what must I do also to be saved? We thank you and we love you. And we'll give your name the praise in Jesus' name. Amen and amen. Amen. That's right, Lady Michelle said TMI. I'll be telling it. This is the transparency show. I'm going to tell it like a TIS. I was a hoe. I was the chief of hoes. It was hard out there for a pimp. Yes, I was. A man that could shake my hand, and I pulled my hand away because I didn't want to touch his hard hand. Sometimes these guys be shaking your hand, and they hold your hand while they're looking you in the eye. I'm like, dude, you're holding my hand too long. Do you realize it's been 5 seconds since you've been holding my hand? Let it go now. Because I need something soft to touch. I can't be touching all that hair on your hand and the calluses. You cutting me, man, and I'm smelling your cologne. You stink. I know women love the smell of a man, but I can't stand the smell of you because you smell like a man. I used to be a hoe, and all I knew was Chanel number 16, okay? I can't take the look at you looking at me in my eye like you want to do something with me. Brother, just wave. Give me a wave offering. Just do that. Write me a letter. Say, hey, bro, how you doing? Don't get too close, because I was a pimp. And God delivered me from pimptism. Okay? And I can't go the other way, because that's just nasty. That's just... All right, let me shut this down. I'm already prayed us home. I'm just trying to let y'all know. People call you stuff and you say, you called me what? If they only knew how far from it I am. Bernice Williams says, I cannot do this. Lady Michelle, I thought I was done too, but somebody called me gay. And I put on all my glasses. I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. You calling me gay? Hold up. I had to put on all my glasses. Wait a minute, now can you see me now? You say, what? Let me find some more glasses. I know I got some more glasses around here. Because you need to borrow some of my glasses. 2, 4, 6. I got 8 eyes that telling you that you was a fool to call me a former hoe. Gay. Stop it. All right. Let me quit. Let me quit. I mean, yeah, I'm delivered now, but sometimes it's hard. When y'all be marching around and I'm in utter prayer. I'm seeking the Lord. I'm laying prostrate before Jesus. And heaven and earth is coming down. And a woman with perfume walked by. And I just snapped the two out of my belittlement. I was in a deep place. In the sunken place I was. Until the woman, I said, oh, Lord. I'm trying to be made whole right now. And the woman just walked by and that just woketh thou uppeth. My stocks was looking up to the moon at us. Okay. Good night, y'all. Good night.